One of our patrons, link down below if you'd want to join. He was showing off in our hangout the other day. So what he did in the United States, if a machine gun is made before 1986, it is transferable. After that date, they were illegal, but they grandfathered in all the ones made before then. And so these are coveted collector's items. These are machine guns that any man can own in this country as long as you're not a felon. And they're very valuable because there's only so many. And when one breaks, now there's one less, right? There's only going to be fewer and fewer of these as time goes on. There's going to be fires, accidents, whatever. Maybe one gets used in a crime. Now it's destroyed. Things happen to guns.
Boats a lot. Falling
off boats, getting stolen. And then they're just off the market because they're in some criminal underworld or thrown away or whatever. One of the guys in there bought a Mac, I think a Mac 10, Mac 11, little fully automatic machine pistol. They used to be about $4,500 for a transferable one because it's just a piece of shit. It's this little thing that goes and shoots a bunch of pistol bullets with a barrel that's, I don't know, 4 inches long or something. It's not accurate. It's just a silly little fun gun to just shoot at the ground or at pumpkins or whatever.
When would you ever use it practically? Like
never. I mean, if you're, it would be pretty. I think it might be the gun from Scarface. I can't remember if it's Uzis or or Max in Scarface, but it is a suppressed little machine pistol where you could fold it up and it goes in this little case. It's kind of a nice crime gun or assassination gun.
Yeah,
if I'm being I'm sure the CIA or some group like that has used them to do some stuff before. But as far as like a range gun, it's silly. But there's this new kit where you can put the lower of that machine pistol on an upper for an AR, like an M4, M16 type rifle. So now you have an open bolt firing 5.56 machine gun. Yeah, that's a big one though. I'm not a real expert on those. I've shot. It's similar to that what he's got, but it's smaller. But that's now the price of those has gone up, I guess, to 17 grand. So he paid his 17 grand plus a couple $100 for a tax stamp. And then I think he waited 250 days. That's how long it took to come all the way through. But now he's a machine gun owner. And I guess the first thing he did was strap it onto that upper. And when you look at it, it looks badass. It does. He's got a 5.56 open bolt firing machine gun.
I watched a video of it, and he was the coolest guy at the range that day, guaranteed. Just firing fucking whole clips. That would be so fun with a machine gun.
So you talked about the upper and the lower, and shit. The lower has all the movement. It has the trigger. It has the action. It has all that stuff. But he must have changed something in the lower to handle the bigger bullet. No.
I don't think this is exactly what he has. So you can see the difference in the metal, where one thing becomes another. Right above that pistol grip, it's still part of the Mac, but then you see it turn to a darker gray. All that gray shit is Mac, and then what he's on right now is AR. All that's AR upper, and so
the upper is just the barrel, no moving parts, right? It's like the barrel.
No, it's all the moving parts essentially. You've got the trigger group down there, but the bolt is moving back and forth. That's the front of the bolt right there.
We're looking at. Yeah. All right, I see it now. It's been too long since I played with guns.
Yeah, that's I didn't know those existed when he pulled that out. When I heard he was getting the Mac, I was like, yeah, that's a cool investment, but not a fun gun. But then when I saw this, I was like, oh my god, look where it's made.
Wait, what'd you just say? Look where it's made?
Yeah. It says on the side they're made in Atlanta. All the ones I've ever seen they must have cranked out 1 billion of those things when the hammer was coming down. There's no telling.
1 billion of those
stamping them out. It's sheet metal, man. Like those things are so.
You can make 1,000 of those in 40 minutes with. They were
line. When the hammer was coming down. I've heard stories about them just as fast as they could. They would even. I may get this a little bit wrong, but I think they would just do the paperwork and say they had made them, and then they would get, and they just need like one tiny piece, just the serial number really to be the registered. Yeah, American heroes.
American heroes. We need the 3D printed gun guys. I thought that was gonna be a thing sooner than now. It doesn't really seem to be.
I think it is
yet. I see YouTube, I see clips, but it's still. like a guy.
Well, not
who's
just
named,
guns.
like the 3D print gun guy. Like,
Well, you saw like the same guy that's got the Mac, I think. Isn't he the one that is 3D printing suppressors? So he's 3D printing his own suppressors in 9mm.
oh, I didn't catch that. You may be right.
Yeah.
Are 3D printers cheap yet? I wonder.
I don't know.
But like not for like
Probably not his. Probably not the one that 3D prints 9mm suppressors.
Yeah. Well, he's got fucking machine gun money already, so he's good.
He does have machine gun money. I don't think we've ever asked him where his firearm fortune came from, because he's got some toys.
Yeah, and he's very good with them. He knows what he's doing.
Why doesn't a plastic suppressor just bust apart?
That's a 22 there. And what he was talking about was subsonic 9mm, very tough plastic. And as the real problem wouldn't be from the pressure, because plastic's strong, and some of that 3D printing stuff is real strong. It'd be heat. If you were to try to rapid fire or dump mags or even go fully automatic, you'd quickly heat the plastic up to the point where it would explode. And I'm guessing those don't have like a crazy long lifespan. I don't know how
you
long.
can shoot like through a whole magazine like quickly.
Oh yeah,
and it wouldn't fuck it up.
Well, in that pistol, you could dump that pistol magazine. What I'm talking about is like if you had a carbine with 30 round magazines coming out of it, you wouldn't want to be just like going off with that thing. I bet you would pop your suppressor because it would heat up and it would get weaker and weaker and weaker the hotter it got. That's how regular suppressors work. When we would dump machine guns through those things, we were ruining that shit. We knew we were. Like the company knew they were. That they're scrapping one for the sake of the video.
So what happens when you ruin it? Does it get louder, or does it?
Oh, it'll explode. It'll melt off if you go too far. But I was talking about barrels more than anything.
I saw a guy fire a 50 cal. Might be Kentucky Gunsman or something like that, a YouTuber. Maybe you haven't seen it, but he had a 50 cal that was single shot, and you kind of broke the gun in the middle. It means there's a hinge in the middle. Feed it and then put it back together. Unbeknownst to him, the round that he put in it was super hot, which I think means it's packed with more gunpowder than you typically put in that round. And when he pulled the trigger, it broke and almost killed him. Like the gun exploded. He got like cuts to his.
Man.
I want to say cuts to his jugular. I'll say cuts to his neck because I know I'm right. And his hand got busted up, and he went to the hospital. He lived, but whoa. So then he got another gun just like it and another round just like it, and duplicated the experiment. But this time he didn't pull it with his finger. He like put himself at his, and it blew up again. You can't run any hot round through the gun.
What was it? It was it like armor piercing, incendiary, or slap or something? Ralphos, maybe something.
Slap kind of rings a bell, but he said that he couldn't. One, he said that the round was $100. So 50
it's Ralphos. It's got to be. That's an explosive round. If that
50 cal.
Yeah.
I'm sure about that. Okay. Yeah.
The only one I know that'd be $100. All right, maybe I'm out of date too. Like maybe everything got more expensive. But in my day, I could get armor piercing incendiary for $3, $5 a shot, something like that. And I could get Slap T. Well, I couldn't get it at all. It got given to me. But I could get Ralphos at Knob Creek for like $50 to $100 a round. But you never knew if you were getting Ralphos or something that someone had hand painted and then pawned off as such. And the very idea of a civilian having some is a bit of a legal whoozy what's it, because how'd you get that? It's never been sold. It's only for military use. It's like having, I don't know.
Somebody stole it along the way, right?
It's stolen property. That's the only way it gets on the civilian market. How did you get that? Where'd he get it? Where'd he get it? Because I know where they come from. It's one of those.
Somewhere along the way, somebody put something in his pocket.
Yeah, those are and so, but in
My
any
50
case,
cal, so the rounds I bought were $6 each.
back.
They're tracer rounds. Maybe that's why they were a little more expensive. And having a gun that shoots $6 bills, like it doesn't take long before you start thinking about it. Like, man, so I'm bad at sighting in a sight. And like I spent like $30 on it and still didn't sight it in yet. I'm like, this is the opposite of fun. I'm too cheap for this gun.
Yeah.
You're like getting mad at yourself trying to insist you're having fun, but you're not.
Dude, people do that all the. That is such a common thing. I remember being at the gun store with my dad, and we were buying, whatever. But these guys were buying ammunition, and they were bemoaning the fact that they were about to have to sight in their rifles with this expensive ammunition. It was like Winchester, 300 Magnum, silver tip, whatever. The bullets were pretty, dude. Like when you got them out, it wasn't brass, it was silver. Like the casing was silver and the bullets were black. And the tip of the bullet was silver.
This sounds cool. If you sight in with a cheap round, does that mean that nice round is kind of not that accurate anymore?
Correct. Yeah. Because the velocity could be wildly different. And we're shooting at range, presumably, if we've got this powerful special rifle, we're probably shooting at 300 meters or 400 meters. So yeah, if we zero in with a round that's shooting 2,500 feet per second, and then we put this hot shit in there shooting 3,200 feet per second, and not only that, it's 40 grains heavier or whatever, it could be very different ballistics going on. But my dad was like, "Oh, I'll sight it in," and he just because they'd gone through a box of that shit. And I don't remember how much. It was like $50 a box in 2002.
Imaginary people out there.
It was like $50 in 2002, and Dad zeroed that rifle. I think 2 shots or maybe 3. I think he fired 2 shots. He was like, "You can fire 3rd if you want, but it's on." And they fired the 3rd shot, and it was like perfect. And it's once you know what you're doing.
Experience, but it was you.
Yeah, he taught me that skill. It's once you've done it a few times, you kind of got a feel for it. It's not any magic I'm waving over.
How he did it, and he told me, "I watched the bullet," and it's like he knows exactly where it was pointing at the time. The shot doesn't even have to be perfect to Kyle, if I understand the process right. He just remembers where it was pointing when it went off exactly, adjusts it by that the difference between where it went and where he thought it was pointing, and then the next one's right. And I'm like, how can you see bullets fly? That's not a thing humans can do. But I guess
you can see the vapor trail, especially if you've got the sun behind you.
Okay.
And if you don't blink at all and you really focus on, you can see it a little bit. Anyway, the first step is bore sighting, right? You take the bolt out and you look down the bore of the rifle, the barrel from the rear. You look all the way through, find the center of that, and you move your rifle until it's pointed perfectly at a bullseye, a crosshair downrange or a little circle. And then without touching the rifle at all, you look through the scope, the optic, and you carefully dial that in and you make the crosshair go to where the center of the barrel is pointed. Now you're 95% of the way there. Now you fire a shot aiming right at that bullseye. Wherever that bullet went, you adjust opposite of that. It's high and to the left, turn these dials low and to the right. And now the bullet's going to hit where the bullet's always going to hit where it's going to hit. You just got to point there. So it's not that hard.
When you were in the United States, Drew, like I know you took advantage of the Grand Canyon, but did you take advantage of any guns, any shooting, or were you just knives only?
I wish. No, I really didn't. I saw a couple guns, and that was about it. Yeah, it was kind of sad.
That's surprising.
That's a shame. Vegas is famous for that.
People love doing that when they come to America, it seems. Like everybody seems like they come here and shoot a couple guns.
Weirdly enough, the only time I've ever held and shot a gun was when I was in Israel.
Was it a cool one?
No, just some handgun somebody had. I just shot it in the desert.
How was Israel?
It's weird. I went out there to film like a documentary piece because they have legal weed out there, and at the time, almost all of our medical bud was coming from Israel. Because even to this day, our medical bud in the UK is not from the UK. We have to import it from other countries because the law is very weird. But yeah, it was just strange to be out in a country where it's an active war zone. It was very odd.
How did it come about? Was it just a soldier or a friend who was like, "Hey, I got a gun. Let's shoot it"?
Yeah, well, the gun thing came up with I was out with a bunch of the homies, and I was actually out with one group of friends, and one of them had just like a little handgun, and I was like, "Oh, bro, I've never been able to, not since I way back in America, I've never seen a gun in person." I was like, "Bro, can I take a fucking cheeky photo with that and send it to the boys?" And the guy was like, "No." He actually straight up was like, "Nah, you can't even." He was like, "Don't look at it anymore."
Smart man.
Yeah, smart man. Can I take a cheeky photo?
The next time I was with another group of people and I saw another gun, I told them that story. They were like, "Oh, you can take a picture with my gun, bro. You want it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to shoot it." He's like, "Come with me." We drive for 15 minutes and yeah.
You see that? See that Palestinian with a slingshot?
Right, it was weird, you know, like.
But I can hit that kid from here.
But I'm with some guys and they're like, oh, do you want to see this cool smoke spot? I'm like, yeah, I'll see this cool smoke spot. He's like, yeah, basically, we go to this mountain. Look at this video. So what we do is we roll up and we go to this mountain. We see the Iron Dome. We see it stop all of the bombs.
Oh,
So
wow.
they like sit on top of this mountain, smoking joints, just looking at the bombs being stopped.
That's insane. So there's incoming shelling or missiles or whatever, and the Iron Dome system is shooting them down, and you can watch it like fireworks.
Yeah, literally.
That's awesome. You're welcome, by the way,
Crazy.
Israel.
Yes.
Yeah. We don't even have an Iron Dome, and they get one.
No one would dare shoot missiles across our border, though, Taylor. I think that we would just move that border then.
You say you don't have an Iron Dome, yeah, but the US definitely has an Iron Dome. It just doesn't have
Nah.
missiles coming to it to show that you have it.
We
But
need to
it's
point
not
them
enough
at
to
the
have
ground
one.
near
It
Mexico.
needs to be the best. Like our Iron Dome needs to be much better than Israel's. They should.
What would it protect us from?
Fucking potential strikes.
What
From
would make
where?
it better?
From Canada,
Like,
yeah.
how would you improve it? So Israel
Well, I'd
already
need-
shoots down
I'd
missiles.
need to expand on my admittedly cursory knowledge of the system. Let's-
Mhm.
So, well, the Iron
Oh,
Dome
I-
thing
wait,
is shooting
I have
down
a
small
different-
missiles,
yeah.
like it's shooting down mortars and
We have one that
RPG
shoots down big
rockets and
missiles.
things like that. Well, no one has one that can shoot down ICBMs.
Not yet.
No, I was going the complete other direction, right?
They really struggle with it.
Instead of the Iron Dome just stopping the shells coming in or whatever and like everything going off,
Mhm.
you know, do one of those things where you like in America mainly you have those fireworks that have ads. So like every time it stops a missile, it just has like a big ad for like some local thing come up
Yeah.
in the sky.
We're
right?
making money
Coca-Cola.
now. This guy's a business.
Delicatessens.
That's a good idea. I like that. Or we could, instead of Iron Dome, it could be like Rubber Dome. You don't just stop it. We send it right back.
These are the improvements I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Projectile
Rubber, your
reflection.
glue can be the code name.
Yeah. Oh, you keep your Iron Dome. We're just going to throw it right back at you. You know,
Hmm.
that's what we have.